Hi gang, welcome back to another video. So it's been a minute, or 12 days or something I should say, since the last upload. We've been busy. Anyway, you know we were prepping for this bad boy to go to Ultra Race. Well, we've had some drama. So all was going well. I wasn't going to film any more of this prep because the 38 videos don't seem to do that well, but I'm going to pick the camera up anyway. So front coilovers are on, pretty low, not slammed it because big tyres. Anyway, front coilovers are on. Haven't done the rears yet. Anyway, the saga started. I fitted the front coilovers. No big deal, couple hours work. Anyway, when you fit suspension to the E38, you've got to whip off the front caliper because you need to be able to pull the hub right out so you can get the strut out. Anyway, when I was doing that, I noticed the dust shields on the calipers were pretty shot. So I didn't think too much of it. Put the front end of the car back together, carried on with what I needed to do. I think I drove it home that night. Went on the motorway and the brake wobble was insane, or wheel wobble. So long story short, front calipers were stuck on. So the E38 has these giant 4-pot Brembos from factory. Pretty cool looking caliper, but they come with some problems. So the brakes in this car have always been okay, but not like groundbreaking. But I was just put it down to it being a big car. Anyway, I've had 2 pairs of these calipers sat in storage because I thought, oh, one day I might rebuild a set or use them or whatever, because I've had a few of these E38s. Anyway, so I've had this problem on the motorway, serious brake, like steering wheel judder from like 60. Stopped my journey like once I got to I was only driving like 20 minutes, and the front wheels were like mega hot, and the driver's side was like you couldn't touch it. So obviously the caliper was stuck on. All right, no big deal. I'm thinking I've got 2 calipers at home, I'm sure it'll be fine. Anyway, Monday comes around, I get spare hour and I think, right, let's swap this caliper over. I grab the 2 spare sets of calipers I've got, check the pistons move. Lo and behold, both of the spare calipers I've got, the pistons are seized. I think one had 2 seized pistons and one had 1 seized piston. Obviously it's a 4-pot piston. Yeah, so when people say, oh, it's a 4-pot caliper, it's because it's got 4 pistons. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's now Monday afternoon. I'm thinking, shit, the caliper on the car is seized. My 2 spare calipers, driver's side calipers, also seized. So I get onto the phone. There's a company called Big Red, and you can buy rebuild kits, just like seals and stuff like that. So phone them up. They got a kit in stock, luckily. It was literally like 30 quid next day delivery. So that turned up and we were away. So I think I was at the unit yesterday or the day before. Shout out to mate Jace, my glamorous assistant. We got that done between us. Luckily, all 3 of the calipers for the driver's side that I've got were all in various states of disrepair. One was actually so corroded. Let's see if I can find it. This one, you can kind of see there, because these are made of aluminium, it had actually like disintegrated. So a dust boot would never really seal on there nicely. So luckily, having 3 sets of calipers worked out pretty nicely because we were able to make a good one from the spares we've got. If you ever have known these cars, these E38s and these Brembo calipers, they're only on the 728s and the 735s. They're not on the 740s or the 750s, but they're notorious for snapping, threads, seizing, blah blah blah. It's an aluminium caliper, not great. So long story short, we got it done. And then I think it was 8:30 and we sort of looked at each other and were like, right, well, we're taking this car to Ultra Race next week, 2,000 miles there and back, obviously driving across Europe. We should probably check the passenger front caliper, because I know that wheel sometimes seems a little bit hotter than you'd expect it for a car that you don't use the brakes a great deal. It's a cruiser. Anyway, took the caliper off. I'm not shocked, but yeah, it had seized pistons in as well. I think it was the lower 2. So essentially, the car has been passed an MOT with like 4 out of 8 pistons not working in the caliper. Yeah, it's a nightmare. So we ended up rebuilding both calipers. Lots of headache. These things on the top, basically they loop. You've got 2 bleeders, and then you've got a line that joins each side of the caliper. The AC's in there. Basically, it was just all a giant shitstorm. So long story short, that's now sorted. We rebuilt both calipers. Luckily, I had a spare pair of old discs that had barely been used on the road off one of my old E38s. So that came to the rescue. and I had a spare pair of unused pads kicking around. Again, it must have found, I think I found them in the boot of one of them that I bought at one point, and I just thought I'll keep them just in case. So luckily, it hasn't actually cost a great deal. It was like 30 quid for the rebuild kit, and both the front calipers are mint and working. I've tested the car. So yeah, we lost a couple of days for farting around, and we've now literally got a week until we go. So I'm filming this, I think it's Thursday, and we're leaving next Thursday morning. So we've got a week, but we haven't got too much to do. Basically, get the rear coilovers fitted. I've whipped the Alpinas off the E39, so they are in there. They do need painting silver, I think. They look best silver, but we're going to chuck them on and dial the ride height, just using them as they are, because obviously I need to get the car tracked, and also it'd be good to put a few road miles on it, you know, as soon as possible with those wheels. Just make sure there's no clearance issues because it's a big wheel, etc, etc. So that is where we are, peeps. So yeah, it's been a bit of a slog, but yeah, anyway, so front coilovers are on. Did those during the week, or back end of last week. So we've just got our rears. Get the laptop out the way. Just the rears to address. So a lovely set of BCs, supplied, obviously purchased and supplied by my business, but supplied by the guys at BC, so shout out to them. I'm sure most of you know that watch these videos, some of you don't. If you're in the UK and you're interested in a set of BCs for any car, give us a shout. Obviously, if you're interested in them for a BMW, you can pick my brains, because pretty familiar with E36, E46, E38, E39 chassis. So any sort of techie questions I can answer, there's no problem at all. But yeah, BCs for whatever car. If you're interested in a set, just pop me a message. So obviously fronts are already gone, they're on the car. And then the rears, there's our lovely rear coilovers. So pretty sick. Stoked to get these on. I've always wanted a Slam 38, and it just hasn't happened because I either haven't had the funds, or I haven't had the inclination, or I haven't had a spare like moment to go, right, let's do it to a car. Obviously we're going to Ultra Race, we're stopping in Germany at the Ring, so we'll have a night there. So I figured let's tweak the car a bit. Famously still not washed it. If you know me, I don't wash my cars ever, so we might wash it, I don't know, I haven't decided yet. I'm kind of hoping the wheels will look blingy and low, and just leave the exterior. I'd really like to find an E39 sport front bumper in the next week that I could chuck on. The rear bumper's not too bad, but the front bumper, obviously the doors are rusty, we know this anyway. But the front bumper is like, it's yeah, it's a piece of shit. That side's been destroyed. That side is hanging off. We're missing the towing eye. And just the front end of a E38 isn't the most aggressive looking thing. So yeah, maybe if I can find an E39 sport front bumper, that would be amazing. Or if you know of one in the south of the UK, if I get this video up in the next day or two, if you know of one that I could get my hands on by sort of Monday, then comment or drop me a message on Facebook or whatever, because I want one. Supposedly they fit without too much drama, so yeah. If my 540, if I wanted to bastardise my 540, obviously I could take that off there, but that car has to stay mostly unmolested. So yeah, anyway, let's get these coilovers on and get to it. Right, she's up in the air. So these rears can be a bit of a bitch, because to get to them, or to get to the top mount, you've got going through the rear. So you've got to pull the pass shelf up. To pull the pass shelf up, you've got to pull this out. To pull this out, you've got to take this out. There's some bolts under there. So that's fun. But anyway, let's get the wheel off, because the lower bolt that secures the strut to the hub on these can be a pig. Because, well, not so much the bolt, but the bottom of the strut pushes into the hub, so it can get seized in there. So we want to get that lubed up as soon as possible, just to give us the best chance of it coming out without putting up a massive fight. So hopefully it ain't too bad, but we shall see. Right, there's our wheel off. by and parallel. So there's our grotty strut. But yeah, we've got to get this bolt off, which is easy, but this pushes into this part of the hub, so we need to somehow find a way of getting that out, because I don't think it's going to willingly come out. So I believe you can knock out one of these arms, possibly that one. You undo that and then it might give you a bit more leverage on the arm, so it will want to come out, but we'll see. I mean, let's get some lube on it, see if we can get it undone first of all. We're bloody flying, boys. So this bolt come out, piece of piss, 22mm or something, big old girl. So yeah, that's lovely. And this shock literally fell out. You can see it's got a little sleeve that goes into this hub. So yeah, but that's good. She came out. Passenger side was a bit more drama, but in reality it still come out pretty quick. This one was seized in there. It looks like it's had a shock change at some point, so you think that this side would come out easier because it's had a shock replacement, but yeah, it didn't. So I tried heat, but you can't really get in there. Tried hitting the bottom of the shock with something, but obviously you don't want to mangle the shock too much, and I ended up just whacking a pickle fork between it, and it came up pretty easy. There is a broken spring up there, so it's had a noise on the rear all winter really, so I'm guessing it's just been that, or hopefully it's just that, and it's not a bush. It seems to have fairly even tyre wear, so I'm hoping it don't need any bushes, because I really don't fancy doing any, but I'm guessing that was just maybe rattling around or something like that. But yeah, that spring snapped somewhere, so it wasn't sat massively low on the passenger side, it wasn't really that obvious, but yeah, it is what it is. So anyway, that's the potentially first half of the shit bit done, which is good. So I'm glad that's over. Wasn't too bad, really. Literally like 15 minutes to get them both off. So now we can get into this. So I've already pulled the headrests off the other day. Rear bench should just rip up. It's been a while since I've ripped the 7 Series apart, but I think I remember it. So that's the rear bench out. Even the rear bench weighs a fucking ton. That's the rear bench. So to get these back jobbies out, the only reason we're taking these off is so we can get the parcel shelf up and out, and I'm pretty certain they're on clips at the top, but there's, if I remember rightly, there's a couple of bolts. I think it's just those there. I'm sure it's a bigger bolt than that, but yeah, anyway, long story short, I'm sure there's a couple of bolts you need to whip off, so let's get them popped off and get to it. Smashed it. Right, to get these out, pretty simple. There's a 10mm nut there, and then there's a 10mm bolt there, so obviously 2 either side. The seat then just lifts up and pulls out, and then to get the parcel shelf out, a few of these silly little plastic trim clips. Right, keep your fingers and toes crossed. Hopefully no trims under there. So I think, do we have to take that off? Surely not. Okay, maybe I have to take the C-pin trim off. Surely not. More shit. Can't wait to refit these. Right, another 10mm. Oh, why do they use 8mm? Now I need to go and find an 8mm. nice. Both sides out it is then. That's our C-pillar trims out. So now, that should actually come out. Aha. Victory. Big old partial shell for that. So yeah, you don't need to take the armrest out, thankfully. And then the thing we want is under here. So I'm guessing we are going to have to get into this foam somehow. There we go. Aha. So 13mm. Then that is our strut out. Well, I've got to somehow then get it out of that hub. And Jesus Christ, that strut weighs a ton. Right, I haven't got this far, no idea how to take that out. I'm guessing I'm gonna have to undo this, or can I stand on the hub to get it out? Right, I'll report back when I figure that out, because that was unexpected. But yeah, pretty straightforward to get them out, really. Just access, but it's not the worst car to strip apart. The clips on these trims are pretty battered, so they're going to need fixing. They're very, very brittle. Like, yeah, you can kind of see they're already in millions of pieces, so that's fun. So that's going to need a little repair. But long and short of it is, that's come apart pretty well. So yeah, I just need to figure out how to get the strut actually off the car now, even though it's disconnected. And we should be able to slap coilovers on. Battery. Right, we're back at it. So, this shock is on. She is looking pucker. We got that bolted into there. This arm needs to come off so you can actually pull the strut out. This one was a motherfucker. So that's what's left of the nut. Because there's a ball joint in it. It just did not want to come off. Heat, lube, all sorts. So I ended up getting cut to bits. Luckily, the actual ball joint was pretty happy. So fresh nut, and that's good. So that's in. Top mount is all done up under there. Glamorous assistant is here. And then this side, just literally bolted the wheel on. This side was lovely and easy because that arm had been replaced. So yeah, we're going to drop it down now. We'll chuck it on all four of the Alpinas, drop it down and see where it sits. And then tweak the ride height as we need. So yeah, bear with. Sick. Right, our wheels is on. So pretty stoked for that. That's the side with the spacer on the back. They still need painting silver, but it looks fucking unreal. And it needs lowering, of course. So yeah, we're just gonna move it on the flat ground over there, because this is a bit of a slant. And then yeah, figure how low we're gonna go. But at the moment, it's like a good driving sensible height, but we wanna go slammed. So yeah, I think we need some space as well for the front, because the front's a bit lost. And then the back, this side, I don't think we've put the spacer on yet. Again, that's pretty lost. So we've got 15mm or 12mm spacers, but I think you need 20s all round. And then maybe a touch of camera on the front. And then
this is the lowering stuff. You hit it, don't you?
No, this is arch clearance tool. Oh. So yeah, sick. Right, let's get it moved on, and then we'll bring you back once it's slammed. Right, we're back. It's the next day. So I went home last night, run out of time really, but that's where the car sits at the moment. So we've got the arse absolutely dumped, which you can see there. So happy with that. No clearance issues. To be honest with you, if I could get the camber bolt to undo, then I would either touch the camber and then space the wheel out. But the camber bolt on these is about a foot long and done up to about 4 million foot-pounds. And to be honest with you, don't fancy shearing that a week or 6 days before we go, because then you replace the whole arm and that's just more expense and risk and blah blah blah. So fitment wise, we're just going to leave the rear like that. It would be nice to, you know, I could trim the arch lip and put a spacer on, I guess, but I think it's already got I think we're on 12mm spacer on the rear, but I mean, yeah, I could trim the arch and put a slightly bigger spacer on, but that's fine. Like, it's not bad fitment, it's on its ring hole, so that's where we want it. Anyway, the front's a bit weak at the moment. Height wise, I think we're okay. I'd like to bring it down a touch, but I've got to factor in that we're 4s up. So I've got some 15mm spacers, so I'm going to chuck on the front, which should bring that out. And I haven't touched the camber yet, but I think I might add just a touch of camber so the front and rear has similar camber. But yeah, it looks hard as hell. This wheel colour is sick, but it's kind of lost on photos and videos. In person, the car looks unreal, it looks so aggressive. But yeah, I think they need to be painted silver, I think. So we're going to decide over the weekend if we're definitely going to paint them silver or not. Not got time today. But yeah, so just going to finish fettling this front fitment, and then chuck all the interior stuff back together. And I'm also going to bastardise the parcel shelf, because obviously you've got the damping adjustment on the BCs, but when you put the parcel shelf in, you can't get to the damping adjustment, which I'm definitely going to need to, because obviously we're planning to go around the ring. We're going to do 4s up with luggage, so it might be a case of once we're loaded up and we're driving, you know, next week, I need to stiffen it up a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I have some they're called I can't remember what the name. They're basically like an adjuster for the damping adjustment. So it's like 25 centimeters. Let me find them. There we go. That's the coilover extenders. So they basically just screw into there, into the top, and then you can twist the adjustment knob right at the top. So I'm going to drill a small 20mm hole in the parcel shelf so that can poke up. Or I think that's what I'm going to do. Think about it, they're pretty long, so I don't know if I want them. Anyway, we'll get to that in a minute, we'll figure it out. So yeah, let's get these spacers on. So we've got some 15mm. That's the fitment dialed, so we have the same amount of camber front and back, or there or thereabouts by eye. Don't know if you'll be able to tell that well on camera, but yeah, camber's dialed. 15mm spacer seems about right, and I've dropped the front another, I think about 8 or 9mm, something like that. Yeah, so obviously it's on a hill, so the front's going to be a tad higher, obviously the back's going to be a tad lower, but I'm fucking stoked with that, to be honest. It would be nice to go even lower on the front, and there's definitely scope to go lower on the back, but the issue I've got is if I keep dropping the back, I'm running out of room for the front to actually have full lock. And obviously we want to go around the ring, and we're going to be 4s up, so yeah, I think best thing to do is just go that sensible. We've got 2,000 miles to drive, let's not completely ruin the car. So I'm probably going to knock this video on the head here. So still going to paint the wheels, I think. I've got to get a sun strip on there, and then possibly give it a good wash and detail. I mean, the front bumper's kind of hanging off, which is quite funny, but yeah, I mean, I could throw a bucket of water over it. I think a couple of the boys are coming over tomorrow. We're going to prep the car. I mean, it's rusty as hell, but it will look cool. So yeah, pretty stoked with that. So that's the 38. I do have the centre caps as well, they're just not here, but I do have them, so we'll get them on. But yeah, it looks pretty fucking sick, I must say. Pretty stoked with that. The mad thing is, it's like a 20-inch wheel, and if you were following it, you wouldn't even know it's like lowered. So yeah, pretty dang cool. But I mean, the rear wheel is almost tucking. I mean, there's what, 20mm until it's tucking rim inside the inner arch, and yet you can still get my shoe probably two. Yeah, I mean that's like what, 70 mil, something like that. So pretty mad how you can slam it on 20s and still have relatively good ground clearance. One niggle is the mud flaps catch everywhere on the front because it's kind of the lowest point, but I kind of dig the mud flap look. It just kind of looks a bit fucking gangster, but I don't know, we might have to take them off because they've already been rubbing on the road when I'm driving, and I've dropped it another 10 mil, and there's like no weight in the car besides my arse. So obviously 4's up, it might get interesting, but that's no big deal. If we've got to pull them off, we'll pull them off. But other than that, it looks pretty mint. So yeah, stoked for that. This might be the last video I do before I leave, but yeah, I will try and document the trip and show you whatever footage I can. So yeah, stay tuned, thank you for watching, and I will see you in another one. Peace out.